Hello and welcome to the Trending Now podcast for this Friday, March 15th, 2024. I'm Louie Butko, and thank you for joining us as we recap the week that was on Trending Now, which you can catch every Monday to Friday, 7 p.m. and 11:30 on CHCH, CHCH.com, and streaming live on the Trending Now YouTube page. Coming up on today's show, Elon Musk abruptly canceling the Don Lemon show on X after the former CNN anchor recorded a sit-down interview with the billionaire for the show's unaired first episode. Nicole Martin is back and has been covering this story and joins us with everything we need to know about this testy interview. In a speech on the Senate floor Thursday, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer criticized Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's government and called for a new election. Maria Sarrouh is on the story and makes her Trending Now podcast debut when she joins us with the latest. And Oppenheimer may have lost the box office battle to Barbie, but the Christopher Nolan flick had the last laugh at Sunday's Academy Awards, winning 7 Oscars, including Best Picture and Best Director for Nolan. Trending Now producer Laura Sebben joins us with that and more before we say goodbye. But first, we say hello and welcome back to the podcast and back to the show this week.
Thank you.
Nicole Martin.
Down the fort.
Yes, thank you. Yes, it was a lot of fun, actually. Yeah, it's a lot of work. That was the one thing I realized people in the office were kind of saying, oh, like, Louie, you're busy. Like, you're busy. You're doing things.
You're not chit-chatting.
Yeah.
What? You're working. That's
basically.
Yeah.
I mean, I found time for chit-chatting. Don't worry. I always do. But welcome back. How are you? How are you feeling?
Feeling so much better.
Yeah.
A weight, like a literal weight, has been lifted for sure. It was 4 weeks that I was off, and the first week was rough.
Yeah.
I'm like allergic to anesthesia or something. I was sick. But after that, much better. Just resting on the couch. It was just yesterday that I was given the clear to pick up Mia again.
Oh, nice.
That poor girl. She's like,
Yeah.
Mom, why can't you pick me up? What is going on? So after about a week and a half of her not too happy about it, she got the idea that it'll be Dad picking me up now.
Well, welcome back. We're
Thank you.
very happy to have you. Let's get right into it on this this Elon Musk. I mean, really, like, triggered. Like triggered, like as much as I can describe it. I don't have to answer these questions. What did you take away from this contentious interview?
Well, I don't know. He sat down with him and he said that I don't have to do an interview. I chose to sit down with you because you're wanting the show on X. Okay, cool. But for being someone who's so into freedom of speech, you're just going to cancel a deal just because you don't like the questions that Don Lemon asked of you? Like, really? So, okay, maybe you're not for free speech at all unless it suits you.
Yeah, which is what we kind of took away from this interview was that, he said, I don't have to answer these questions, nothing. Mm-hmm. And then, so what was the structure of the deals? Because, I mean,
yes.
So he can't post on X? Like, what's happening?
He absolutely can. So okay. I think that's kind of being a bit misconstrued, too, in the media, is what it is there was a distribution deal that was set up. So it wasn't like Don Lemon's made it clear. Elon was not his boss. X was not his boss. They were just going to be distributing his show within X, and so he'd be getting a certain amount of money for that. He's still allowed to post the show, and he has said that he will be posting it on Monday in its entirety on X, which I think will be interesting to see. I am interested to watch the whole thing.
Just the clips. He was on CNN. He went back to CNN, which is a little weird.
Pause right there. Pause right there. When I said, excuse me? What are you doing? Like, he was just fired last year from CNN. Can you imagine getting fired from here and then be like, hey, I've got this great interview.
Do you need me to come on?
Yeah, you want me to come on? Yeah. But again, it's kind of showing is this Don Lemon's way of getting himself back in the spotlight. Obviously, there's monetary reasons for what he's doing.
But I mean, the questions that we saw, nothing was unfair, I would say. No. I mean, they're pretty, Elon Musk there's been reports about Elon Musk, his drug use or
his ketamine and
things like that. And he's pretty, he's smoking a joint with Joe Rogan. We won't do that on this podcast, I assure you.
But it's legal here, Louie. I don't know. I'm just kidding.
Well, okay. I mean, Nicole, if you want to, I wouldn't. I mean, it'd be rude if I didn't join you if you wanted to.
No, I don't do that. I'm sorry.
Damn, so close. But the questions weren't unfair. And this is why, I started it with triggered. Because it just seemed like the questions weren't to his liking. Like, what was he expecting? Softball questions?
Well, no, and Don Lemon, this is all according to him, but he was saying nothing was off the table. He said, give me any question. Absolutely. And there were some interesting things. Like you did bring up the fact that I guess they ran into, or Elon Musk ran into Donald Trump at one point over the weekend, and they had breakfast or lunch or whatever it was at someone's house. And he did say that he's definitely leaning away from Biden for the 2024 election. So we're finding out some interesting things we probably already knew about Elon Musk. But all the questions from what we have seen so far seem to be fair.
Well, welcome back.
Thank you.
We really appreciate it. It's always great to see you.
Thanks, Lou.
Thanks, Nicole. All right, my thanks to Nicole Martin for joining us on today's show. And, of course, you can catch her on Trending Now. She's back. She's back, guys, on Trending Now. All right, I wanted to get to this story. The world's largest aerospace company, Boeing, was trending after a retired quality control engineer turned whistleblower was found dead by apparent suicide this week. Now, the company is in the spotlight after dozens were injured during a flight from New Zealand to Australia after a plane suffered a technical event. Now, it's one of a handful of recent incidents for a company that's already under the microscope. John Barnett spent 32 years with Boeing before retiring in 2017 and going public about quality control and safety concerns over the company's aircraft production. Now, according to the Charleston County Coroner's Office in South Carolina, Barnett was found dead on Saturday of what appeared to be a self-inflicted gunshot wound. The 62-year-old was in the midst of a whistleblower lawsuit against Boeing, alleging retaliation for what he characterized as the company cutting corners on assembly lines for their planes. Now, Barnett was one of several whistleblowers who raised concerns in a 2019 New York Times piece over issues at the company's South Carolina plant where the 787 Dreamline is built. He alleged that he discovered clusters of metal slivers hanging over the wiring that commands the flight controls, which could have what he called catastrophic effects. Now, according to the BBC, just days before his death, he had given evidence to a lawsuit against the company. And in a statement to multiple outlets, Boeing says, quote, "We are saddened by Mr. Barnett's passing, and our thoughts are with his friends and family." Now, I mentioned these technical issues that Boeing has had, like the one that happened on Sunday, where dozens were injured during a LATAM Airlines flight on a Boeing 787 Dreamliner from Sydney, Australia to New Zealand. According to the airline, the flight experienced a technical event resulting in a strong movement, but did not elaborate. Also on Monday, a United Airlines Boeing 777 flight bound for San Francisco was rerouted back to Sydney for an emergency landing due to a maintenance issue. And last week, a United Airlines Boeing 777-200 flight headed to Japan lost a tire during takeoff from San Francisco. Not a great time to be Boeing at all. Okay, I want to get to this story. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer is calling on Israel to hold new elections. Maria Sarrouh is in studio with us now, making your podcast debut. Welcome, Maria. Thanks for joining us. I'm very happy to have you on. Okay, so Chuck Schumer, this is pretty significant. Chuck Schumer, one of the most prominent Jewish lawmakers in the United States, calling out Benjamin Netanyahu in pretty harsh terms.
Yeah, we should start by kind of telling our audience who Schumer is. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the most compelling things about all of this. He's the first Jewish majority Senate leader, and he's the highest ranking Jewish official in the United States right now. He's also a staunch defender of Israel. So for him to come out and say that Israel's actions, to criticize Israel's actions, it's pretty significant. He has also known Netanyahu for a long time. So on a personal level, it's interesting to see him attack Netanyahu and call for his ousting, call for new elections in Israel. Also compelling that he's been so blunt about his condemnation of Israel's actions over the last few months. And interesting, in his speech, he cited the Torah's teachings, saying that all lives are precious. The scripture says war destroys an entire world, bringing up those Jewish values, saying we must be better than our enemies lest we become them. It's also important to note that he did defend Israel's right to defend itself. He just criticized the way that it has been done so far.
And the one thing he said in his speech, like you said, they've had a long relationship, Netanyahu. He said, I know what he did, his military service. He was a military hero during his time, but it's just time for new leadership. How are his comments being heard by his fellow lawmakers, by people in Israel? What's the reaction to what he's saying?
Well, let's start by unpacking what he said, and there are a few threads to pull on there. But first, we've already covered this. Schumer called for new elections, essentially the ousting of Israel's current Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. He cited several reasons for that, including Netanyahu's approach to humanitarian aid, his rejection of a two-state solution, and shortfalls when it comes to protecting Palestinian civilians. Now, to answer your question about the reaction, his words have been met with swift backlash from Republicans who say those are Israel's policy choices to make. It's not our place to interfere in their sovereign state. But he has the backing of U.S. President Joe Biden, who came out this morning to say Schumer made a good speech. It reflected concerns held by many Americans that Biden's senior staff knew in advance Schumer was going to make that speech on the Senate floor. I just interviewed Jane Bolden, who is a political scientist at Canada's Royal Military College and Queen's University. So a lot of what I say will be informed by her analysis. And she said that it's possible for Biden, it's best if someone else like Schumer comes out to express those concerns that may or not be held by the Biden administration. But we do know that frustration has been mounting within Biden's government for Netanyahu's handling of the war, particularly when it comes to that humanitarian aid piece. And it seems to have all bubbled over in Schumer's speech.
I think it's worth pointing out, like, even before October 7th, though, there were some concerns about Netanyahu's leadership, the way he was kind of going to the far right. He wasn't very popular at the time. And then, of course, we all know what happened with that horrible attack by Hamas. So what's going on right now in Israel and Palestine? Because obviously it's something that's been going on for a while now. But what's the latest? What's kind of going on right now on the ground?
Well, I want to speak to some of the humanitarian aid that's being delivered, or the lack of humanitarian aid being delivered. UN officials have said that Israel has blocked 40% of aid deliveries into Gaza. And like I said, 40% significant amount, according to those UN officials. So behind the scenes, the Biden administration has been really trying to pressure the Israeli government to allow more of that aid to enter the besieged enclave that is Gaza. So much so that Biden announced earlier this month he wants to build a pier on Gaza's shore for large-scale deliveries. The U.S. has led some of the largest airdrops of relief efforts into Gaza. And Schumer yesterday said in his speech that Palestinian civilians do not deserve to suffer for the sins of Hamas, that Israel has a moral obligation to do better, and that the U.S. must apply pressure to make sure that happens. So the humanitarian aid is a critical piece in the condemnations that we've seen. Yeah,
and some of those airdrops we've seen some tragedy over airdrops. Yeah. We've seen people, they're not insignificant. These are giant parcels, right? They're coming from the air. They're coming from the skies, and we've heard, it's been said that that's not the most. It's one of the not least effective ways, but it's not the best way to be getting supplies into Gaza.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the best way to go would be delivering it on the ground, but with some of those not the border crossings, the on the ground crossings being blocked, can't happen.
This is a different role for you. You've been with CH for a few months now. How are you adjusting?
I love it. The newsroom is great. I've been learning a lot from all of the very talented and skilled people that work here, and it's been great to get new opportunities and try out new things.
Well, it's awesome. We're very lucky to have you, Maria, and thanks for doing this. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. My thanks to Maria Sarrouh for joining me today, and you can catch her tonight on Trending Now with even more details on the latest in Israel and Gaza. All right, as we continue with our international affairs here, a story we've been telling you about all week, a plan to create a transitional presidential council to govern Haiti is moving forward after a majority of Haitian parties and coalitions finally submitted the names of those charged with finding new leaders for the country. Now, Surinamese Foreign Minister Albert Ramdin says the matter is all up now to the Haitians, as they are the ones who want a Haitian-led solution. Caribbean leaders had announced plans to create the council after meeting in Jamaica earlier this week behind closed doors. Now, as we've told you all week this week on Trending Now, Haiti's capital and other areas have become increasingly overrun by powerful gangs that control about 80% of the capital, Port-au-Prince. To trending news south of the border today. A special prosecutor who had a romantic relationship with Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis has withdrawn from the Georgia election interference case against former President Donald Trump. Now, a judge had ruled Willis or special prosecutor Nathan Wade had to leave the case for it to move forward. Now, Wade's role in the prosecution had come under fire since an attorney representing one of Trump's co-defendants alleged in early January that Wade and Willis were involved in an inappropriate relationship that resulted in Willis profiting improperly from the prosecution. Now, Fulton County Superior Court Judge Scott McAfee said today the allegations created an appearance of impropriety that infected the prosecution team. And making her smooth entrance onto set is Laura Sebben, who's been working on this story
chairs are too
today.
high.
You know what? Shout out to Mike Horston for making sure I had the good chair with the legs today. He takes care of the host.
Does he?
Yeah, because you got the one chair. By the way, we also have these new curtains here.
I noticed that last time.
That can hide our legs.
Because I'm super fidgety, so I used to always have to focus on like clenching my legs and like not moving
really?
them.
Yeah.
So fidgety.
I'm pretty fidgety too. I find. I'm surprised nobody's actually called me out on it on the air because I do move a lot.
No, I got in trouble back in the day as an altar server. Because I used to like sit there and like swing my legs back and forth and like play with the rope that they tied around. And the priest would be like, "You need to stop." And I'm like, "Oh, sorry." Great
stories of altar serving. What's up?
Not much. What are you like Donald Trump today calling her Fani Willis?
Did I call her Fanny?
You did.
You've told me that before.
I have.
Many times. Fani Willis.
There you go.
This is the great thing about this show. You start your story and you get pretty far along, and then something happens at 4 p.m. that completely changes it. And that being Nathan Wade has withdrawn. I mean, this seemed like it was going to be the only really possibility. She wasn't going to withdraw from the case. Pretty much had to be him. No?
Yeah, and I don't really understand why she would have to. I think it would have been different had they had an existing romantic relationship and then she brought him on as her special prosecutor. But the relationship started after he had already been appointed. So obviously, most places don't love workplace romances, but I really don't see how this could have been a conflict of interest given that it happened after he was already appointed. And yeah, I think the judge made the right decision. Like, one of you has to leave, I guess, like if it was going to be that distracting or whatever. But I think him calling it like impropriety or whatever,
prosecution team, yeah.
I mean, when you, like, Clarence Thomas was trending today. He's a U.S. Supreme Court justice. Like, when you look at him, and he was trending because people were like, he has accepted gifts. He has accepted vacations. He has been paid off, essentially. And he's still allowed to serve as the highest judge in the country. So it's kind of just like a slap in the face for something so, like, minor. Where and again, like, even if they were dating and he was giving her gifts, what does that have to do with anything? They're on the same team. It would be a different story if she was like on Trump's side or he was on Trump's side, but they're on the same team. Like, so, I don't.
Just to correct it, like the timeline was they started seeing each other after.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she appointed him in November of 2021, and the relationship started, he said, around March of 2022.
Okay. Interesting. So. The one thing I would point out is that it's just another way for Trump's legal team to delay, stall,
100%.
Like every single legal case that he's had, he has stretched it to the limit with appeals and just these little challenges here and there.
Yeah.
Nobody is better at delaying justice.
But the problem is it works. They let him do it, and then they're like, "Yeah, you're right. We'll look into this for you."
Clarence Thomas, like, we're going to take it all the way to the Supreme Court, and we're going to review it in May or April or June. Like, it's
yeah.
The election's coming up quick.
I know, I'm not looking forward to it.
Why not?
I don't know. There's enough.
It's going to be trending. It's going to be trending.
I know. That's why I'm not looking forward to it.
Let's talk about the Oscars. Oppenheimer stole the show.
Claps. Let's go.
They won
Look at
7.
us using our branding too.
They had, yeah, I know, right? Oh, they stole our colors.
They did.
They won 7 of those little Oscar statuettes. Any surprises for you from Oscar night? Anything stood out to you?
Honestly, Emma Stone winning.
Lily Gladstone.
Yeah. I'm not gonna.
Have you seen Poor Things?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Emma Stone, Sandra Hüller, the Anatomy of a Fall girl, and Lily Gladstone all deserved the recognition that they were getting and potentially deserved the statuette. But I don't know. It seemed like a moment for the Oscars to like...
Hashtag not be so white.
Yeah, it just was really weird. And I feel like there was so much positioning going into the night that she was going to be the one to do it. So much so that I think Emma Stone was even like, oh my God, reaction. I can't believe they called my name. Yeah. And yeah, like they did that little thing where they brought up previous winners of the awards to introduce who's going to get
Jennifer
it.
Lawrence.
And you saw this. And it was one non-white person. And I was literally only because the other only non-white woman to win that award was Halle Berry, and she presented the award last year. So they were like, we shouldn't bring her out again. But yeah, I don't know. And even this moment, like, she was supposed to give the... Michelle Yeoh was supposed to give the award to Emma Stone because she was the last winner. And it almost seemed like Jennifer Lawrence like grabbed the statue out of her hand to put into Emma's. It was very bizarre.
They're very good friends, right? Emma
they are really good friends, but that was her moment. The pass off is from previous winner to current winner, and that was not Jennifer was not the previous winner. That was not her moment. That was Michelle's moment to pass the torch to Emma. And I don't know. My reaction kind of when she won was like, oh, so I guess we're just going to have to wait another 96 years for a Native American woman to win this award. It's just like a little silly, in my opinion.
Emma Stone is now a 2-time Oscar winner, too.
Yep.
Right? I know her from Superbad. Jules from Superbad.
Yeah. She's had a pretty iconic come up, I would say. Jules, she was in a lot of those like little...
Easy A was kind of like her breakout, like that was the thing.
In Zombieland. Remember she was in Zombieland?
I'm Just Ken. I mean, where are you on the Ryan Gosling like train? Are you a Ryan Gosling fan? Are you a stan? I
wouldn't say I'm a stan. I'm a fan. Kid's been giving us entertainment since he was 12 years old. Like he has it. I think he has that presence. Yeah, he's just he could do whatever you ask him to, and I find it funny that people are like, oh, the Ryan Gosling Renaissance. I'm like, where have you guys been? Like somebody posted after the Oscars a clip from when him and his mom lived in Cornwall and he had just gotten accepted to be a Mouseketeer. He's been acting the same since he was like 12 years old. He just has this like charisma, and so
he's got the Riz. As kids would say.
Yeah.
Yes. Did you see that? I use that correctly?
You did.
Yes.
But did you see the other thing that came out because of that? Because they showed like Emma winning her award and him reacting. I didn't realize how much filler he has in his cheeks.
Somebody said that too. Yeah.
I didn't realize how much filler he has in his cheeks.
Did he have to get it for Ken though? Did he like?
Probably not. Like, it's more common for men to get
what's
cosmetic stuff in Hollywood, which there's nothing wrong with cosmetic stuff. It's just
all natural right here, guys.
I didn't realize. I didn't realize how much filler he had.
What's the deal with him? And thanks for the solo shot there. After that, what's the deal with him and Eva Mendes? Why does she never come to these things?
I literally have no idea. My mom and I were talking about that too. I don't know if they think their relationship will overshadow what either he or her are out doing. I have no idea. Like, don't you want to be like next to your man when he's performing at the Oscars? Because
I saw he went with his family, right?
Yeah, his mom and his
which
sister.
was nice. Some Burlington natives there. Brock University graduate.
Yeah,
his mom. Eva Mendes went to that, by the way. She went to the Brock graduation.
Yeah, she was
ago.
There.
Was she there?
Because she posted a picture on her Instagram, like always with my man, and it was like his dressing room. So
interesting. Who gets a dressing room at the Oscars?
The performers, I guess, because you have to have somewhere to change.
I guess that makes sense. Yeah. Please explain to me what the hubbub. We were going to get Adam Atkinson, but he was kind of pressed for time getting his 6 o'clock ready. I forgot to ask him, actually.
I was going to say, Adam has been asking to be on here. You're so rude. I asked this morning, Adam. I told him, can you make an appearance
He's going to come running
on the
through
podcast?
The door. We only got 2 mics, Adam, so if you're coming in.
Yeah, I'll leave.
What is the deal with this show?
I don't know. It's weirdly addictive.
What is it about it? All right, let's find out from the man himself. Laura Sebben, thanks for joining us. Take a seat. Adam Atkinson.
Did someone say my name?
Somebody said Adam Atkinson. What's up, buddy?
How's it going?
Thanks for doing that.
Hey, anytime.
So please explain to me, what is the draw of this show? You have recruited people to watch this show. What is the draw?
It's just the train wreck of it all. You've got these people with such problems in life, and they think that they can get into a relationship and get married without seeing the other person. It's interesting, and then the train wreck aspect of it afterwards is just so interesting.
So you said there's these people, like, who are these people? Like, how do they, like, obviously it's cast and call, all that, but, like, are they looking for the sob stories? Are they, like, what's the variety of people here?
So in previous seasons, I actually think this season was a little bit flawed in the sense that most of them were just chasing fame. And one guy, especially Trevor, who's not on here, he was like a big bodybuilder guy with a mullet. He got caught in a relationship. There you go, this guy, yeah. This was a cringe-worthy scene in the reunion where the hosts were just reading text messages he was exchanging with a woman outside the show saying, "I'm just here. I love you. I'm never getting married to these women." It was just amazingly painful to watch.
Was this season 7?
This is season 6.
Season 6.
Yeah.
You're hooked. Like,
I'm hooked. Yeah, I've been hooked right from the start.
You watch them. You don't waste any time. Like,
I am.
You are always the first one in. Asking, I'm throwing you under the bus here a little bit, but you're a super fan.
I'm a super fan, and I'm in multiple text and social media chains with coworkers, and I'm watching the show and communicating live my emotions.
What'd you think of the reunion? I heard it was a little too many previous seasons. People were on it. There's a lot of that. I wasn't too keen on that. It's a live shot.
At least 2 of those people in that shot are in my text chains, so they can't say anything. Yeah, you know what? I was really into the first 45 minutes of the reunion show. The drama was hot, but and then it just kind of tailed off.
Nick Lachey, Vanessa Lachey, good hosts.
I like them. They're getting a lot of flack online for asking about pregnancies and all these other personal questions, but I like them. They're personable. They're doing a good job. I like the show.
Shout out Bill and Corsten for getting these photos in a rotation as quickly as they have. Yeah. If you're watching the podcast, if you're listening to the podcast, none of that made any sense to you, but we've had the pictures here behind us literally as it happened. So if you've been listening, go check it out on YouTube. Adam, you're getting ready for the 6. You made some time to get in here. I really appreciate it, buddy.
Anytime. Thanks very much.
All right. My thanks to Adam Atkinson for joining me today. My thanks to Laura Sebben for joining me as well. And the credits are rolling, so it's time to go. Thanks to Maria, and thank you to Nicole as well. Thanks to Mike Corsten for directing today's show, Alex Pohl for rolling the prompter, and Bill for doing the graphics. Appreciate that as always. And thank you for checking us out. And make sure to like and subscribe to all of our Trending Now social channels, including on X, YouTube, and TikTok. And while you're busy subscribing, make sure you subscribe to CHCH Podcast so you never miss an episode of this show or any of the other great shows we have for you here on CHCH Podcast. From all of us here at CHCH, I'm Louie Butko, hoping you have a great weekend.